Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is the Steel Curtain Network's editor, Dave Schofield, coming at you Tuesday night, just after 9 o'clock, maybe a little further after 9 than I'd like to be. But where else would you rather be, Steelers fans, on the eve of training camp? And with me, as always, except when he's not, is my big brother, Rich. How's it going tonight, big bro?
Hey, here we are. We're on the cusp.
Yeah, on the cusp is right. Because think about this. How long have we been waiting to do this show?
Let's see. When did the season end?
Exactly. Well, and we didn't know when the Steelers would report. Last year, they reported on Tuesday to start practice on Wednesday. So we got to do our show the day they reported, the night before their first practice. This year, they bumped it back a day because now this is what I heard. I can't confirm this 100%, but my understanding was the reason they bumped their entire schedule back a day is because Coach Tomlin wanted to be able to accommodate Steelers fans more, whether it was Coach Tomlin or the collective in the front office, to accommodate fans more, to have more weekend practices at St. Vincent's College. Last year, all their off days were Sundays. So that's one day that people could actually go see practice. This year, all their off days are Mondays. That's why they're not starting their first practice till Thursday and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
did you hear that at all, or what do you think of that?
I thought about going to training camp on a Monday, and I was like, oh, hey, I'll go on this day maybe. And I was like, oh, I wonder. So I go in, I was like, no, I won't.
Nope. So yeah, so you got those 4 days before the first day off. That's the ramp up period. That's no pads, that's shells, however you want to say it. They're in helmets to all that. And then they'll come back a week from today. We'll be doing a show talking about the first padded practice as long as the weather cooperates and everything. Whew. It's exciting. But that's not the only news there is.
No, that's not.
Well, there was some other news that happened at the end of last week, rolling into this week, and we'll touch on that. But the big one today is, now I have to say, it's not official by the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers did not announce this yet, but it has been announced by a number of, I would say, very good sources that Joey Porter Jr. has signed his rookie contract. Rich, what do you think of that? Yeah. It was one of those things that it's, we always knew it was going to be fine. Oh, there's lots of time. I'm like, don't worry about it. And we're getting to a point where they might kind of have to start worrying about it a little bit. But it all worked out. There was only Jeff Hartman did the article for the Steel Curtain Network website that there was only 3 players left in the draft that had not signed. And Joey Porter Jr. was one of them. And it was a very different circumstance. It really was, because he was a 32nd pick, but not in the first round. And he wisely, I still think, waited until Will Levis signed his contract. So you knew that if there was any kind of crazy stuff going on there. And by the sounds of it, it looked like he got about all that he could, because all of his bonus money was reportedly being given as a signing bonus, which isn't always the case. Sometimes it's signing bonus and then other roster bonuses throughout the contract. Haven't got the exact numbers yet on how much of it was guaranteed or anything like that. Hopefully that stuff will come out later. Bottom line is, Joey Porter Jr. is under contract and he'll be ready to go to arrive at training camp tomorrow and practice on Thursday.
I'll say everybody will arrive and be ready to go.
Yeah, that's the key. You want everyone arriving and ready and all that good stuff. So,
everybody arrived. Don't need no helicopters.
Don't need no helicopters.
Don't need no helicopters. Don't need nothing like that. Just show up to camp, get to work.
Show up to camp, get to work. And I know some people they like the big fancy entrances. I'm more get to work. My favorite of all, I still have to say, was when Vince Williams showed up in the Stone Cold outfit with the belt. That was probably my favorite.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm here to get to work. One of those things. But we'll see how all that goes tomorrow. Real quick, because you haven't had done a show since it's happened. You want to give some quick thoughts on the signing of Alex Highsmith?
Done a little faster than I thought it would be. I thought that would be done closer towards the end of camp. So
that's not the way the con man's been working.
I know, but the fact that it got done and everything, and one less thing to talk about during camp that's not related to play on the field, great.
Yeah,
get it done. I think who did this? Was it you that did the story or? What I know, I remember seeing Andrew Wilbar commenting on it, whatever. And it's just a real neat take on the way this is done so that you can, if you're a fan of team friendly, you can make it look team friendly. If you're a fan of, the player getting all he can get, you can make it look like the player getting more. So,
exactly. I was just trying to, and I talked about this on StatGeek as well last Thursday, is I was just trying to help people understand the difference of how you can hear different numbers and they're actually both right. It's really how you want to look at it. Well, if you're looking at just the new money, it is $17 million a season. If you're looking at what he's getting paid each season over the next 5 years on average, it's just over 14.1. So either way, which way you look at it looks pretty good to either side. I know some people are critical of the Steelers spending so much on defense. We talked about that in the preview some. And let's just say this: if that's where your superstars are that are in their second NFL contracts, then that's just the way it's going to work out. That's just kind of the way it's working out because of the age of the offense. Although there are a number of players from the offense that are up there making having some pretty significant cap hits this year. We talked about that on the preview. So, training camp tomorrow, all that. Anything else you want to talk about news-wise before we jump into our topic tonight?
No, but you got a question that I think you got to look at real quick.
Are the Steelers at a 90-man roster? Yeah, they've been at their 90-man roster for a while. If you go to the steelcurtainnetwork.com, don't put sorry, I keep saying that. Go to steelcurtainnetwork.com. I had articles, one today, one yesterday, of laying all the players on offense, all the players on defense. I didn't give a known article to the special teams players. There's 6 of them. There's 6 players on special teams. There's 43 on offense and 41 on defense. Filled out the roster. But you know what? That roster, do you think there'll be a change by the time we have our show next week, Rich?
Who knows?
I would say I would not be shocked at all if there is a change to the roster by next week. Just because a bottom of the roster guy tweaks something, you don't want to wait around. You want to see if someone else is there, something like that. I have a feeling there'll be at least one new member of the Pittsburgh Steelers when we talk next week. If not, we know there'll be one by the following week. But here we are on the eve of training camp. It's even looking forward to this one. Looking even forward to 2 weeks from now, when it's on the eve of, not the exact eve, but the last show that we have before their first preseason game. And then we got, what is it, 5 weeks or 6 weeks until it's before the first regular season game. But this one had to come first. You got to get to camp first and then have everything go. So let's
look. I was thinking about this as I got home from work today, and it was just like, you know what? They roll into camp tomorrow. That means it's on. It's on. The season, I always look at it as camp as the season has begun. And so it begins.
And every other NFL team has already started camp by this time. The Steelers are the last one, but I already explained kind of their reasoning behind that. But you know what? Let's do this. So what we're doing tonight is is this 3 years now we've done this? I know it's been 2. And last year I kept screwing it up. I kept saying the wrong word. I think I got it down pretty good. We're talking Camp Darlings.
We're talking about practice. Oh.
No. We're not. We're not talking phenoms. That's what I kept trying to say last year.
Yeah.
We're not talking phenoms. We're talking darlings. We're talking darlings. Okay.
We talking about practice.
Yeah. Okay.
We talking about practice. Not a game. Not a game. Not a game.
Not a game.
We talking about practice.
Yeah, we're still talking about practice. These are guys that are basically going to be players that Steelers fans fall in love with from what they hear from practice, and then even as you roll into the preseason games. Now, here's the criteria of what we have. Players that can end up being camp darlings are ones that have not been a seasoned starter for the Steelers or any other franchise before. And they can't be someone who was drafted on day 1 or 2 of the draft. So we're talking about players that you might not, they're not supposed to be coming in to be your superstar players. They might be players that you wouldn't even expect to have playing time. They might be players you don't even expect to make the roster. But then people are going to start talking about them and falling in love with them and kind of driving that conversation. So does that make sense, bro?
Yepers.
Do you want me to review last year's?
Do it. Everybody's probably like, what did these idiots say last year?
Yeah. Now, honestly, we did okay. You did better. You did better, in my opinion, than me. We both did pretty good.
I have a feeling we're going to flip-flop that this year.
Yeah. So, to me, it's going to be where it fell out last year is it bottom line of both of our number 2 choices ended up being the 2 main guys. And we had good ones for number 1. Your 5 going in reverse order, you had cornerback Chris Steele, running back Jeremy McNichols, offensive tackle Jordan Tucker, running back Jalen Warren, and tight end / fullback Connor Hayward. That was your list from last year. Now, I will have to say, I think Jalen Warren was the biggest training camp darling because he turned into a spot on the 53-man roster.
And everybody was wanting to see it.
Yes. Connor Hayward was a pretty good darling too, man, when you think about it, because you were ready. Some people are like, oh, will he even make the roster as a 6th-round draft pick? He dressed, I'm pretty sure, every game. I mean, and was tied for the second most special team snaps on the team. So yeah, he was another good one. Here was my 5. Mine were pretty shaky to start, kind of like yours were. Buddy Johnson, Chris Oladokun, Mateo Durant, Mark Robinson, and Calvin Austin III. Those were my camp darlings who I thought could be camp darlings last year as we were heading into camp. Now, Buddy Johnson didn't work out. I think he just signed with like the Bears. That might have been today or yesterday.
The Bears. Today.
Chris Oladokun, I just said fans are going to fall in love with him because they kind of wanted to see Mason Rudolph go, and they wanted to see him do well, but the Steelers just never played him. Mateo Durant just flat out got beat out by Jalen Warren. But then Mark Robinson, he was a big one. You know, Shannon White's guy, he was tooting his horn up one side and down the other. And then Calvin Austin III was that camp darling until he got hurt.
So what? A week and a half.
Yeah. So those were our list last year. What we're going to do now, so we don't have to stop in the middle, we're actually going to go ahead and take our break, and then we're going to come back and run through each of our top 5 camp darlings for 2023. So if you're here with us on Twitter or YouTube or Facebook, we're not going anywhere. If you're with us on the audio side, stick around. We'll be right back after these messages. All right, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, we are ready to get into this topic and make this happen. Rich, are you ready?
Bring it.
Bring it. Okay. So I've got my handy dandy notebook that has all my cool stat geek stats and everything down on there. But I also have this to make sure that I got this all down for us for this year. So this can end up in a nice article at steelcurdnetwork.com, part of fansfirstsports.com. All right, Rich, give me your number 5.
All right, number 5. This is Always number 5 is always my flyer. This person I don't know a ton about.
Okay.
Okay. Don't I can't. I'm not even sure I can tell you exactly why I went with this person,
Okay.
but I put Chris Wilcox, corner,
Okay.
played at BYU.
Okay.
Part of that was just I was kind of looking for a defensive guy here.
A shot in the dark. Yep.
I want to call it a complete shot in the dark, but it's kind of a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
He was drafted last year by Tampa.
Okay.
Doesn't make their roster, doesn't make their team. He's getting another shot with the Steelers. You hear of a couple of these guys that are like that every year that just were drafted the year prior, end up with a totally different team the next year, and one of them somewhere is going to kind of flash.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a flyer.
Took a flyer. Well, that's a crowded room. So if people were talking about him, that's
the other reason. The other reason I did, because the other reason I put that one out there is when do the fans start to fall in love with another guy and say, you know what? Give this guy a chance. Pierre's been here. He hasn't done anything. Get rid of him.
Yep. I got you. So, well, here, let me tell you all the stuff I know about Chris Wilcox.
Okay. His name is Chris Wilcox.
I'm done now. Yeah, okay. I really don't. So that's honestly someone, if you're looking for you're kind of looking for the dark horse that could be the camp darling. Why not go with it?
He was my complete sleeper.
Gotcha.
Okay.
It was hard to get 5 for this list this year.
It was much more difficult than last year.
I can't believe last year we didn't have a single repeat. I'm
going to be surprised. I'm going to be surprised if we don't have multiple repeats.
I'll tell you right now. I don't have Chris Wilcox.
I didn't figure you would. That's why I had to come up with one that was a complete flyer.
Complete flyer. Love it. Here's my number 5.
I'm sorry. There's a chance the other 4 I have could potentially be on your list.
That's fine.
I had to come up with one I didn't figure would be on your list.
There you go. Well, here's who I'm going with. I'm going with a player who the Steelers have listed at 2 positions, and neither of which are what he played in college. I'm going with wide receiver / return specialist Jordan Byrd. Because when you see that RS, he's the only player on the roster that has an RS as his under his position group. That's going to be something that Steelers fans, they want to hear about it. They want to see if he does something crazy. How many of the punts is he able to catch from the machine and hold on to them? And how fast is he and things like that? Or he could be a guy that gets cut by the end of the week. You never know. But it's one of those kind of take a flyer guys that the Steelers did. Don't even have him listed at the position that he played before, which was running back. So I went with Jordan Byrd.
Okay. Talk more about that later.
Okay, we'll talk more about that later. Okay, so I'm assuming now that we don't have a completely different 5 like we did last year.
Correct. We can't.
We can't.
We both name off our number 5. I can already tell you. Last year's thing is not going on.
So. That was but I'm telling you, that's a good thing. Because the Steelers just have they don't have as many outside taking a shot type of players as they did before. So, all right. So let's roll on. Why don't you go ahead and give me your number 4?
All right. My number 4 is because I've decided 10 days was not enough. Number 4 would be Calvin Austin III.
Calvin Austin III.
Yep.
Hey,
because
he hasn't played a game with the Steelers. Yeah.
He'll have the buzz of we never got to see it.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. To me, where the buzz will pick up with him is going to be when the first preseason game, because he got hurt the day before that last year.
Yes.
people are going to say, "Oh, yeah, but we saw this last year." We remember he was flashing last year. We didn't get to see him in the preseason game. Give them that preseason game now. I think that's a good choice.
Had he played that preseason game, I probably would have totally taken him out of the running for this year.
He hasn't appeared a game for the Steelers.
Never saw him on the field on a game day. That's the reason I think I can still put him there.
Well, he's eligible for this. Players that we listed last year that aren't eligible for this is, I would say, Connor Hayward for sure.
Yep.
I wouldn't say Jaylen Warren because of all the playing time that he got. I wouldn't have. Right. I'm not putting it here, and I'm not putting someone, even though we didn't play till the very end of the season. Maybe you did. I'm not. I'm just. I didn't put Mark Robinson.
I didn't either for the same reason.
For the same reason.
Saw the field enough at the end of the season. His year for being a camp darling is done.
Yes. So, to me, I think Calvin Austin III was on track to be the camp darling last year, but it didn't keep going long enough. So.
Exactly.
But I'll talk more about him later.
I figured you would.
My number 4 is, I actually talked about this player some, and I think I could say his name right. I talked about him on Let's Ride this past week when I was on with Jeff. We were giving our 53-man roster predictions, and I talked about this player. Said, don't know about making the roster, but this could be a player at a position where the Steelers want to have a player like this on the practice squad in order to be able to call up. And I have outside linebacker David Perales. He's one of their undrafted free agents this year. I didn't write down what college he's from, and I've completely blanked on it.
Hold on.
So I could find it here quickly.
Fresno.
I knew it was West Coast, but I couldn't quite remember. And it wasn't like a big football program, if you know what I mean. But I just think, watching some of the highlight stuff when I was doing breakdowns of the undrafted free agents, I thought that one was kind of interesting, and there was some good discussion about him when that was done. So I think he's someone that could be like, wait a second, the Steelers might have more depth at outside linebacker than what we think. He could really get his name in the mix, and if he is, he's playing a position that can make defensive splash plays, and therefore he could get noticed.
Right.
So. All right.
Okay. Yeah, good. Decent pick. He had not totally gone off my radar there. He was somebody I was thinking about, and I actually was thinking about him in that 5 spot, and was too afraid that we were,
going to have the same 5 players.
Too many that were like, and that's why I went with Wilcox.
Yeah. There you go. So, all right. So we're rolling along. So you've got Wilcox, Calvin Austin III, now number 3.
Okay. No, this is not okay. I'm going to preface this one a little bit as well.
Okay.
In me and looking at potential camp darlings, this is not just about me.
Yes.
This is about Steeler fans.
Yes.
Okay. And many folks have already hyped this guy up, and he's already a camp darling, and we haven't even gotten to camp yet. I'm not so sure I'm sold that he's going to be a camp darling, but because the other folks have hyped him up so much as a potential camp darling, I put him on the list. And that's Hakeem Butler.
Hakeem Butler. I actually started writing another name down of what I thought you were going to say. But I didn't. Let's just say this. I wasn't sure how eligible he was, how much. He's never stuck with anywhere that he landed so far in the NFL. And I didn't care to look up.
That's why I thought he's still qualified.
Which he can. That's fine. Yeah. But I'm going to give what I said and kind of made bad little bit upset about this. And he's not the only one. I kind of am paying more attention to what Jim Wexell had to say about him.
Yeah.
Jim Wexell does Steel City Insider podcast for us Wednesday afternoons. I'm pretty certain they're back tomorrow. Really looking forward to that. But he said Hakeem Butler looks like a guy that's not made the team wherever he's gone. He has 2 career games in Philadelphia with 1 target and no catches. He has played a total of 1 offensive snap and 29 special team snaps in his career. And that was in 2020. He was drafted by the Cardinals, didn't stick there. Ended up in Philadelphia, didn't stick there. And I know some people are going to be absolutely in love with him. I personally think that he's going to fall off the radar.
I do too.
Because the way Jim Wexell talked about him is that the NFL game is just too big for him. He gets lost in the crowd, gets lost in the shuffle. Now, I would love for that to be wrong. I would love for that to be wrong. You get another weapon. I mean, if he comes out and starts playing like he did in the XFL, was it XFL? Yeah. Although I didn't watch a snap of it, I saw stats and everything. That's a whole different story. So I'm not banking on it, but I could see where a lot of people are.
Yeah. See, I get the feeling I too had listened to what Jim Wexell said and stuff. And for me, then what I started to envision was he's a JV guy that has been brought up to the varsity because you need a guy and you need him to try to do something. But when you put him out there, it's just like, and that's why he's a JV guy.
Yeah. But I think I said this, I think it was on the preview. Guys like Hakeem Butler, like Luke Barku, the couple of the guys that they signed from the XFL, they deserve to be in an NFL training camp with what they did in the XFL this past offseason. Absolutely. The only question is, can they turn that into a spot on the 53-man roster?
Exactly. Right. And
they showed they deserved a shot.
Yes.
So what are they going to do with their shot now?
Exactly.
So to me, I'm not on the Hakeem Butler hype train, and I didn't look up how many games he'd actually played, and he definitely qualifies for this. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't have him on my list. I did not, just because. Okay. But honestly, I would not be shocked if he is the number one guy. If he ends up being the parlay.
As I told you, I put him on the list based on what I'm seeing and hearing from other Steeler fans.
Yeah,
that they are big on him, mm-hmm. And you know what? If they're big on him, that potentially makes him a camp darling.
Yes, it does.
The question is how long does everybody stay big on him? If he starts to perform and people stay big on him, he's a camp darling. If he comes out and he doesn't really perform, how quickly does he trail off?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, that's the difference between the narratives of the fan versus some of the insiders, people that are there actually seeing what's going on. The fans are hyped up over what they saw in the XFL and what he could be, but the insiders are actually seeing how much is that translating. But remember, the insiders are saying the guy that's been on the tear as wide receivers is Cody White, who for Steelers fans, that is just that's not an exciting name for them.
No,
because of everything. But that's what training camp's all about. I'm really excited about it. But I'm so glad you put him on your list because I specifically left him off of mine. I almost put him at 5, but I wanted to do Jordan Bird instead.
I knew you were going to leave him off your list, and
that's why you did. There we go.
No,
all right.
I knew you weren't. I knew you were going to leave him off.
I thought you were going at number 3 with who I had at number 3 there for a little while. I almost started to write it down. This is someone I don't know a ton about. I don't know if he's really going to be up to the hype of some people are already talking about when it's about roster predictions, everything. But I will tell you this. I don't think anything's close to being set in stone at the 3rd running back position for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So much so, keep going back to Jim Wexell, but hey, he's on our network. He said they could keep 2 and keep an extra guy on the practice squad and just pull him up whenever you need him. I'm not ready to go that far yet. I wouldn't be shocked by it, but I'm not ready to predict that yet. But if you're talking about a 3rd guy, you might just need someone that just needs to get something exciting and everything. Right now, I think that spot is Anthony McFarland's to lose, but someone who could really come in and get in the mix there that Steeler fans are already hyped up about is one Alfonso Graham. So that's who I have as my number 3. He's one of the players that they signed after they saw him at the HBCU Combine. Was he Morgan State? I know.
State, yes.
I was going to say because that when I was coaching track and field, that's where we had our state track meet, because it's not that, being in Baltimore, that's not too far. So that he is an interesting one. So I have a feeling that if he could start doing some things, Steelers fans will really start talking about him. They're already talking about him. Now let's see if they can talk about him, because he was one of the players that didn't get signed, got the rookie mini camp invite, and got signed out of rookie mini camp that was there on a trial basis. So that's why I think there's some interest there. You want to say more?
No, don't blame. He's another one I looked at, but ultimately did not put on my list.
Yep.
So.
All right. So this is good. We do have some different players. Yay. I'm excited. All right, Rich. We're down to number 2.
Yeah, we have some different players, and my number 2 would be Jordan Byrd.
Okay.
And I put him in there just because, yes, I've started to see the hype. We're talking about they've got him listed as a wide receiver. He played running back in college. That always intrigues fans. He's a return specialist. We know how we love to get hyped up on a return specialist. That's why he's there. And the other thing is, because of all that, he's potentially going to get different types of opportunities in camp where he could flash.
Yeah.
Right? Almost, because you could see a wide receiver, but not just a wide receiver, because he used to be a running back. Do you see him on jet sweeps? Do you see him on return stuff? Does he get the chance to be to have flashy kinds of things to which fans fall in love with?
Yeah. Is he another skedaddler, as Mike Tomlin likes to say, which gotta love that. Well, I'll be honest with you.
Okay, how long into camp before we hear that term from Mike Tomlin?
I don't know if we'll hear it within his first 3 press conferences. His first
I would
3
say
press
before the end of the weekend, we will hear Mike Tomlin say skedaddler.
I would love to hear it. My thing with Jordan Byrd, I put him at number 5.
If so, I expect it to become a button.
Yeah. Oh, you mean for our audio button?
Of course.
Okay. Well, I can go back and find one, but this would be easier to find one now. Yeah. He said it a few times.
But if he says it,
it
becomes a button.
Absolutely. Okay. Because, we don't have a lot of Tomlin buttons. We really don't. No. We pretty much
Everybody else gets a little tight.
Yeah. Which is a good one. So, I actually have more from the Spanish announcers, like
Jorgito.
Yeah,
everyone's favorite. Pique the Pickens.
Yeah. So maybe I need some more Tomlin ones here. Definitely. The thing with Jordan Byrd, my biggest concern with him potentially being a camp darling is that he might be a similar player and get overshadowed by my number 2 choice of Calvin Austin III.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I thought the same thing with both of them on my list. Is here are 2 guys that technically could have very similar things going on with them.
Yeah, they could both be skedaddlers. So that's the biggest thing I think with Jordan Byrd is
we could have double skedaddlers.
Yeah. Dos skedaddlers. Yeah.
Oh, then we could get it on,
Then we'll get the audio here. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's my thing. So I had Jordan Byrd because I think he's intriguing. But is he, and that's what training camp will show us, is he basically a non-drafted version of Calvin Austin III? I don't know. I don't know enough about him. My hope would be is that where he would stand out would to be like what I would want Calvin Austin III to be in the first place. Because that's part of the reason why Calvin Austin III is on this list, is because we still don't know enough about him because his season was cut so short last year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So hold on. I got to flip over to stuff, but Steelers Pittsburgh. He's asking.
You play to win the game.
You play to win.
You do. You play to win the game. And if I really wanted to, you know what Jeremiah was asking for earlier in the show.
I do.
He was asking
came
for
on the show.
too.
He immediately came on the show and was like,
yeah.
do it. Yeah.
So what do you have for dinner tonight, Rich? Steak. How was it? Huh? It was a little chewy. Sorry. All right, let's count them down. We're going to do yours first. I wonder if we have the same player for number one.
I think we do.
You went Chris Wilcox 5, Calvin Austin 3rd, 4th, Hakeem Butler 3rd, Jordan Bird 2. Hold on, because I'm going to do mine in case we have to announce them together. 5, I had Jordan Bird. 4 was David Perales. 3 was Alfonso Graham. 2 was Calvin Austin III. Rich, your number one training camp darling for 2023. You think the fans are going to fall in love with
Corey Trice.
And that would be mine as well.
I figured it would be because honestly, I think that he has again, I'll say the potential, but it's not going to surprise me if we are getting deeper into camp and we're hearing fans clamoring for this guy to be on the field as a starter for game one.
Here's the thing about Trice.
I don't know that that's going to be the case, but I'm not. You're going to start to hear that buzz. I just have a feeling you're going to start to hear that kind of talk from the fans, and that wow, did the Steelers ever get a steal here? This guy is really, really good. He needs to be on the field now.
My thing is, he may have been such a steal in the 7th round that people don't even realize that he qualifies for this.
I know.
You know, and I didn't go. The Steelers only had 3 draft picks from this past year that would have qualified for this list. And we both only just went with 1. And to me, it's because Trice stands out so much more than the other 2. Nothing against Nick Herbig, nothing against Spencer Anderson. I just don't think that the fans are going to fall in love with them right off the bat, as they already have with Corey Trice Jr. And that's not a bad thing. To me, he's the guy, so much so, he might be so much the guy that you don't even realize that he wasn't drafted as the guy that was supposed to be fighting for snaps this year.
Yeah.
I've said it in the past. I'm going to repeat myself because it's what I do. And that is, I believe Corey Trice Jr. was the Steelers' pick at cornerback if they didn't get Joey Porter Jr. I told you this before, that if they traded up, they got Broderick Jones.
Wait a minute. Say it again, Dave.
I said that Corey Trice Jr. was there.
It totally flew over your head.
Oh, say it again, Dave.
Say it again, Dave. You say you like to repeat yourself.
Yeah, I got to repeat myself.
Just say it again, Dave.
Just say it again. That, because I mean, you have to go into a draft thinking of this. Hey, I would like this player early. If we don't, and we need someone at that position, what are our options later in the draft? To me, Corey Trice was probably, I'm going to throw it out there. To me, I think he was a possibly even as high as 3rd, most likely 4th round option for the Steelers if they didn't draft a cornerback by then. He was the guy they were going to want. And no, seriously, I think they could have even taken him in the 3rd. And when he's sitting there in the 7th, you got to take him.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to take him.
And didn't we talk about that right after the draft? Didn't we talk about that in our show after the draft? When we were looking at the draft, we were just like, you know, I was with that same type of feeling. I think he was the guy the Steelers were like, when they took Broderick Jones, they figured if Joey Porter's not there, then we're going to go get this guy, but we're going to be able to go get him we're going to be able to get him round 3 or round 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you get Porter, and then you get all the way to the 7th round, and you're like, wait a minute, this guy is still there?
Yeah.
What is going on? And that was after everything had already worked out so well for the Steelers falling into place for this draft. what do you know? There's another one, and they're drafting this guy in the 7th round, and they're just like, wow,
Yeah.
good for us.
Hey, I got to bring this up because Wes said this. He said, if we had taken Trice at 32, I wouldn't have been mad. He said, no, meaning going into the draft, not knowing that, we took a tackle in the first round and this is what's available at 32. He says, but I'm happier with how it worked out.
Of course.
Yeah.
How could,
that's part of the reason we feel like they knocked this draft out of the park is because they got players that I think the Steelers would have been willing to take sooner, but they didn't have to because they had other players to take there. I mean, I still think that the Steelers traded back in round 3, ultimately to take Nick Herbig. And that Darnell Washington was still there. So they took him. Because you know.
And then they still got Nick Herbig. And then they go in later and they still get Corey Trice. I mean, that's what just kept. That's why this draft kind of blew me away. You know, it seemed like every place where the Steelers were making a sacrifice, potentially sacrificing one thing for another, they ended up with both.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, I guess we're not going to draft Joey Porter Jr., but we got the chance to go get Broderick Jones, who, like I keep saying, I think he was a Troy Polamalu pick. He was a guy that had all the attributes that might have needed a little bit of time, and he was at a position that you had time to give him time. And then you go up and get him, and I think he's going to be great for the Steelers. Well, I just don't know that he's going to be great year 1. So they go do that, and then they still get the guy that I thought. I mean, I'd put a couple $1 bets on DraftKings on the draft because I'm like, yeah, that I think the Steelers would, that Joey Porter Jr. would be taken by a certain pick, that the Steelers went cornerback in the first round. Some of those, I mean, it was just some little goofy stuff. I'm still playing with house money with that, and to get him at 32, but bring it back to Corey Trice, okay? Yeah.
Hold on, real quick before you go back to Corey Trice. Hey,
McEldew
says, hey. Brett Keisel was a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
We all know how much people feared the beard.
Yeah. See, and that's a thing that Kevin Colbert had said in the past. He's no longer the Steelers GM, so that doesn't matter. But he said, when he was doing his, I'm pretty sure it was his last press conference or his press conference before the last draft that he did. He's like, when he talks about trading, every time we go to, if you want to move up, if you're going to trade away a 6th round pick, we got to think about, that's an Antonio Brown, or you trade a 7th round pick, that's a Brett Keisel. Those guys are the exception and not the rule. They really are. But you know what makes great teams? Finding exceptions.
Exactly.
Finding exceptions. And you don't always even necessarily know who they are. Steelers Nation believes that Corey Trice Jr. is that exception. They're already on the hype train. I just hope that everything that he does in camp leads up to it. I know he had some injury concern coming out of college that's like no one's talking about now. So I'm just like, dang, let's do it.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say about this list here, bro?
No, other than we had 3 the same this year.
3 the same.
None last year.
But only 1 the same spot, and it was the most important spot. Yeah, I think, I mean, like I said, Corey Trice, even as a 7th round pick, is really close to not even counting as a darling because so many people already have him penciled in with playing time. And if that's true, just think about how good of a shape the Steelers secondary is going to be.
Right. But here's why I still think that in some ways you'll notice him as a camp darling. If the talk through training camp in the preseason is, how did we still get this guy? How was this guy still there?
Yeah.
Look at what we're getting. How was he still there?
Yeah. And how many times did we say that all throughout the draft?
Right. If that's the narrative still coming through camp in the preseason, that's a camp darling.
Yeah.
Because you just can't believe that you got that guy where you got it.
Yep. Crazy good stuff.
Yeah.
You ready? You ready to do this, Rich?
Open it up.
Okay, we're about ready to open this up to the discussion. Don't type it in yet.
Type it in. Just they can type it in.
Type it in. Don't. No, wait. You got to type it in. But what hold on, Rich. Hold on, Rich. I can't find it. You got to type it in. But
Don't press in.
Yeah, don't press send. Don't press send until I bring it up here. And right now I have everything all spelled wrong because I'm trying to type quietly because it's close to my mic. Oh my goodness, that doesn't even begin there. But we're going to get you all to tell us now we're going to ask you all to give us your number one. You could actually answer this in one of two ways. You could go number one and kind of agree, it's Corey Trice or whatever. That's fine. Or you can give us your outside the box. Give us your outside, either way you want to go with it. Exactly. Even if you put somebody else other than Corey Trice, it's not because we think you think that it's not going to be him. But if you just say, hey, this is someone else that I think is more off the radar, go for it.
Right.
It
could be a person that you just think could be really intriguing to have there. And if that's the case, put him there.
And it's in the live chat. It's there.
All right.
You could go any stuff.
Now you can press send.
Now you can press send, and we can roll through this here. Here you go, because we got Thomas Riley with Cal. He agrees with the Calvin Austin III. Richard Adamson says Nate Herbig. Now that's the guard, right?
Yeah.
Don't know under our other. Maybe he meant Nick. I don't know. But if he meant Nate, I don't know that he would actually qualify because of his years of service and everything in the NFL. But you know what? That's still good thinking outside the box, because Afton did the same thing. Said Nate Herbig. Technically, with what we outlined at the beginning, wouldn't qualify. But I still like what you're thinking. To see someone like that who's coming in from outside, who's not expected to win a starting job, just come out and play great. So Steelers Pittsburgh says Corey Trice. Reginald Rivers went with one off of my list. David Perales. Am I saying that right? I hope I'm saying it right. It's close. You know what would be great is if he's talked about so much, I find out that I'm wrong.
You find out that you're wrong, and you find out that his name is P Rails.
P Rails. That's Kathy. Hey, Kathy. Kathy Ford says CA3. Here's one. Mason Rudolph. Technically, he started too many games for the Steelers in 2019.
Yeah,
so, hey, hate to burst your bubble, but no, that's some outside of the box thinking there. State of the Steelers goes with Calvin Austin. Brian Miswa goes with Corey Trice, and unfortunately, Joey Porter Jr. is not eligible because he was a second-round draft pick. Yep. But because too much hype.
He's expected to be a darling.
Yes, he is. Okay. George OTJ also said Trice. Claude Bishop, I'm going to maybe give you a pass because he said Washington, because sometimes you forget that Washington was a third-round pick because he was the Steelers' fourth selection.
Yeah.
So technically he doesn't fit there, but you know what? We might have to give you a pass there just because I do that all the time. Steel Dog 88 threw another joke out there of Mason. I don't know. Maybe he's not joking, but technically he doesn't fit Mason Rudolph. But he could. But honestly, could you see fans talking crazy about Mason Rudolph and wanting him to be I don't think people are going to push for. Maybe some will push for him to be the starter, but maybe push for him to be the backup.
Would not surprise me.
That wouldn't surprise me. Okay. I'm going to see if I get it right. Carrie says Trice. Okay. Russ says, well, first he says Benton, but he doesn't count because he was a second-round pick. But he said Nick Herbig, who does count because he's a fourth-round pick. Wes has an interesting one. He's got Nick Quiet. Nick Quiet. I don't think there's a T in his name. No, he's messing me up because I don't think there's a T in his name. I think it's Kwiatkowski. So, but he was very close with how we spelled it. But when I was trying to read it, it kept messing me up because I've had to spell that one a lot. Technically, he's a guy that's even had a really big contract in the past, but he is new to the Steelers and not expected to make the team. So I could see that he's one of these. It's kind of like, what's the name of the tight end for the Ravens that was in Steelers minicamp as a long snapper? It's kind of someone trying to make a comeback. That's what Nick K. I'll just say that. That's what Nick K is a little bit like too. Okay. Okay, here we go. Rands, we'll just say there, says Darnell Washington. Like I said, he's kind of the cusp. How did someone else that said Kenny Pickett, but we can't say that? No, I'm not doing it. Okay.
Come on, fuzzball.
It says biggest camp darlings is Chewbacca and Han Solo. I'm not feeling it tonight. It's not as good tonight. Frosty the Bear says we're getting a lot of people picking people that technically don't qualify based on how we laid this out. Maybe we should have laid it out again before we brought it out there. Can't be a day 1 or day 2 draft pick or someone who has been a season-long starter for either the Steelers or somebody else. But they said Keanu Benton, which I think, that to me, high draft picks, they're going to get that hype anyway to be more there. Okay. I like this one though. Sherry Richards says Spencer Anderson and his position flexibility. I almost went with him with mine
because of
my number 5
flexibility.
But bottom line is, people don't get excited about offensive line during training camp. Now, they might be paying more attention this year because the Steelers' first-round draft pick is there. But I just don't know. That's why I didn't do it, because I like to pay attention to that, but not all Steelers fans are like me. I like this one. This is a good one. I should have thought of this and put it in mine. Jonathan Wilcourt, Monty Pottebaum, the fullback, the mullet, that if he makes the team, if he makes 53, Jeff Hartman has to wear a mullet wig through the bye week on the Steelers preview. So that would be pretty good.
I thought then we'd have to have an SCN mullet shirt.
You know what? I think we would have to. Do you have your SCN gear on the way? I got mine on the way.
No, I'll talk to you about that afterwards.
Okay. AJC says Alfonso Graham. Matt Adams says wants to offer up Mark Robinson for a second year. He technically won the Redmond Award last year. You can't win it 2 years in a row. Marky D. These are fun. Marky D goes with Christian Kids. He says, sometime later, we naming best names on the team.
Oh, Marky.
Marky. I miss talking with Mark. I haven't caught up with him for a couple weeks. I got to do that. Let's see. Steelers Pittsburgh wants to know, did Cody White count? He's been with the Steelers a lot of years. That's a good question. If you don't want to count Cody, if you want to say that he's eligible, I just don't know that the fans are going to hype him. I think he's I hate to say it because then fans really won't like him. I think he's the Robert Spillane of wide receivers. He's the guy that knows what to do and knows where to be and will give you everything. He's not the flashy George Pickens. Yeah. He's not that, but he's the guy that has just worked at his craft so much you can count on him. And you know how Mike Tomlin likes those kind of guys. Okay. I'm going to say this one's eligible too. This is a good one. McEldew says Elijah Riley. I had him making the 53-man roster with my last prediction. Here we go. Let's see. Wes said that there's a T in his name. I didn't think there was a T in his name.
Gee whiz. Okay, hold on.
I know. It's just maybe I
gone through those. I'll look.
Maybe there is a T, and I forgot it. Or I know there's not the. Yeah, there is the T, but there's no W. There's no second W when it's Kowski. So it's Koski. That's the letter that I was maybe thinking of that I was expecting to be there and not be there. I've got to see where we are now. Okay. And then as Wes says, he thinks it's pronounced Quit Koski. You might be right, but I don't know. Let's see. Frosty the Bear came back and after Benton said Graham could be a good one. And lots and lots of other people saying stuff. Did I see this name right? Is that Bridge Nasty that says Jordan Bird? There we go. Let's see. And you find it anymore? Great discussion going on. Here's Robert Cotting. Technically, he counts because he's never started a game in the NFL because punters don't start. But he said Braden Mann, the punter. Technically, and I also like this one. I like this one from Sherry. Not gonna row.
Not gonna row.
Not gonna row. Yeah, there was some discussion about him going on earlier. Did I miss any other ones?
Yeah, Pittsburgh Toddy just threw this one out.
See, he doesn't count.
I know.
He doesn't count. He started for a season.
That's right.
So, okay, and see, McEldew said this. Where are you getting your information? Because where'd he go? He went away.
I was
nope. Sorry.
I was trying to click on mine. You're clicking on yours.
He said that Cody White looked sloppy at OTAs. That is not the report that I've got from multiple people that were there watching OTAs. Is that Cody White was by far the best wide receiver. Better than Deontay Johnson, better than George Pickens, better than I don't know how much Allen Robinson was doing in OTAs, still coming off of the injury for last year. They might have been taking it a little bit easier with him. But all the reports were Cody White was playing like the number one wide receiver on the Steelers. So to say that he looked sloppy at OTAs sounds like something that someone just made up. So, yeah. But yeah, Pittsburgh Toddy did say he's just messed around. So, Rich,
I knew he was.
Tomorrow, they're reporting tomorrow. We might even hear from Mike Tomlin tomorrow. They should do their run test. The only bad news is
run test. Maybe Tomlin will tell us he's got a couple skedaddlers.
Yeah, maybe he's got some skedaddlers. But to me, there's no big contract situation looming or anything like that. Could there be a player or two end up on PUP to start? Sure, if they think that they're not quite ready to start practicing, they want to see some more things from them before they get out there on the field. That's still a possibility. But so don't be shocked if that's the case. If it's someone that's coming off an injury from last year, hopefully not someone like a CA3, but like a Cole Holcomb or an Allen Robinson or someone like that. I'm hoping none of that. I mean, Allen Robinson looked great catching balls from Kenny Pickett. And then his other stuff. So that could be about all we hear from. Whew. And next week, we're going to be back talking about training camp. Rich, what do you have to say to close this out?
You know what we're going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about practice.
We're talking about practice.
That's right.
We are, but that's a good
thing. We're going to be excited. We're going to be excited about it because you know why? Yeah. There hasn't been any.
Nope.
So it's going to be
since January is the last real practice that you've had.
Yeah. And I love it. It's just I don't know. It's making me start to feel all is right in the world. As we're going to get back to talking about football. We're going to have video clips tomorrow. Guys coming in and talking to folks as they're coming in reporting to camp. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know. For some reason this year, I'm just looking forward to some of the most crazy little stuff. Hey,
hold up. I was going to say, we're up against the wall with time-wise, but I will say this. You got to announce it. What day are you going to be there?
August 9th.
August 9th.
August 9th is a
Big
Wednesday.
Bro Scho.
I will be at training camp on August 9th. Already have the tickets ready to go.
We've got KT Smith on August 3rd. I'm pretty sure Jeremy Jerome Betts on August 5th and Big Bro Scho on August 9th. Those are the ones that we've announced so far.
That's right. Training camp is here. Going on the 9th. Can't wait.
can't wait.